Hi, I'm Omar M, better known as Omar M on LinkedIn. We're here with Rita Warts, my friend, who was on my program before. Now we're doing something very important, which is talking about reading and math. How
Yes,
are you this morning?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you, Omar?
Doing well, doing well. I'm excited to be here and do another episode about something important.
We sure are. And it's a sunny day in Eugene, so I'm pretty excited about that. It's still early. And when we're done, I thought you might take me to breakfast.
Okay, yeah, that would be great. The 9 a.m. your time and 10 here. So about the right perfect time for eating, definitely. Yeah, it's a
Omar,
beautiful day here as well, too.
I got to tell you, thank you. And I want everybody who's watching today, and there'll be a lot more people afterward. I know that because this is the session of sessions. Talk about a master class. Omar has gone above and beyond to have this happen for us. We are here today to kick off Read Across America. And just my 10-second background on that, Read Across America has been going on for many years. It started off on March 2nd as a tribute to Dr. Seuss's birthday. It has since evolved from the NEA, National Education Association, year round event.
So Rita's,
And Omar, why did we decide to do the session besides the notion of what we can do to celebrate Read Across America every day, and not just in the United States, worldwide, and also that we are looking at reading and maths because we're looking at the broader idea of boosting literacy. So I do want to take just a moment to look at what happened with our recent NAEP scores. NAEP, the National Assessment of Educational Progress, since 1976, I'm sorry, 67, and the baseline is in 1992. And something happened this year that was historic. And so I'm going to turn it back to Omar.
all right, let me go ahead and share your screen. But yeah, definitely. What you pulled up there is very important. The reason we're doing this is for kids about education and having them really get focused and being able to learn. That's the goal. We want students to succeed in schools. And as you mentioned, the statistics are up here from the NPR website about 5 years after schools have closed, the nation's getting a new report. This is after COVID time, right? It's been almost 5 years, if you can imagine, and
Mhm.
the statistics are. What would you say, Rita? Good, not good,
No.
improving?
Okay, I have to be careful how I say this because I don't want to get real teary here. We're at historic lows in reading, the lower than at the baseline in 92. And this is despite interventions made by Congress to put money into schools to take care of what they call learning loss. Learning loss was never a big thing in my estimation because children were in trauma and our teachers in schools were in trauma. There's a lot of factors that happened. Kids that didn't come back, yada, yada, yada. But the bottom line is 5 years out, scores aren't everything. And I do not like or believe in standardized tests generally, but I do believe in the NAEP because it has been reliable and valid since 1992. Every 2 years, our nation does this report card where they survey by asking kids, "Are you enjoying reading?" And this time they found out they said no, pretty universally, and that's pretty scary. And then this time we saw that the scores were slightly better in math, which you'll talk about, but in reading, they absolutely sunk in fourth and eighth grade. And so that's where I am and why I asked Omar to put this together with me because we want to give positive things that we can do at school and home just to start her today, just to kick off. And we want to make sure that we know that we can do this as grassroots, as an international literacy initiative, in fact. But the bottom line is no matter what, we can help our kids enjoy reading, enjoy math at school and at home. And that's what we're about today.
Amazing. Yes. And so, as you mentioned, yeah, bad news for the reading as it shows here. Fourth graders continue to lose ground in 2024. They go down. And reading is important, right? You got to start
Yeah.
them early. It always starts with the home, right? If you're able
Yes.
to show them like the ABCs from there. And I have a nephew, he's 20 months, right? And he'll be 2 years pretty soon here. And you can see the development and how smart they are. And you need to start them in reading at an early age, in their months, right?
Yes.
So they can pick up those alphabets and be able to have the love and not the distractions that I had when I was younger, when we had books. And I can relate to when I was younger, when I would buy a toy, I would want a toy. When my grandfather would want me to buy the books, right? And so the popular books back in the 90s, we can call them back in the day now, right? That's the only thing now that you get. But the Magic School Bus books were popular. Like a lot of people like to read those books.
Captain
And
Underpants.
oh yes, exactly. But I think those came after. I think, but back in
Yeah, yeah.
they might have been in the 90s. Yeah, but I remember reading that one, Charlotte's Web, and also what were
Yeah.
some other ones? There were some common ones. The Caterpillar book that you showed up, but
Well, I did bring, I'm dropping all over. If you want to take that screen off, I'll show just a couple of the books I brought
yeah,
in the book picnic. You see, we're making it way too hard. It's
yeah,
so much fun to do family time reading at home, and we don't have to be just think of us as a parent. It could be a nana, a papa, a friend, an auntie, an uncle, a tia. But the bottom line is we want to be reading to kids and practicing maths at home, and reading is everywhere, so is math. So I just brought a few familiar books that I grabbed out of my classic library. We probably all read A Little Engine That Could.
ah, yes, that's a common one. I read that one too. That's a
I think I
classic.
can. And how about Little Red Hen?
Oh yes, uh,
Or how about The Very Hungry Caterpillar? And then I
that's
grabbed, oh, I love this. Yo, yes. It's about being
that one.
friends.
I never seen that one. What's that's a good one too.
Ah, it says, so I use this book as punctuation and friendship. So they're looking to be friends. You want to be a friend? Yo, yes. And then by the end, yay, they become friends.
Oh
So
wow,
we can use, first of all, I'm going to put these down. We should be reading to children all the way to the tummy. They're hearing. I believe that. And we want to read long past toddler time. And to tell you the truth, I really love when I'm read to as an adult. And I have a friend who's writing a novel, and when he reads pages to me, there's something about it. We want to get kids off the phone, off of TikTok. I mean, that's fine. Whatever they're going to do with social media.
yeah.
But what's happened is that we had only 42% of children reading for fun of it, reading for pleasure.
42%. Wow.
Now, this was at age 9.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is before the NAEP scores. And
Wow.
then the statistic we had, which I know is, or I believe strongly is accurate, by age 13, only 13% of our children are reading for enjoyment. Now, if we want to model that we're reading, then we've got a better shot at them reading. If they see us sitting on the scrolling and so on all the time, why would they read? But if they see that we love books and we talk about books, oh, here's what this book is about, then we have a better chance of having our children want to read. If we don't do this now with the historic lows and the science of reading, new reading program has been put in by mandate in at least 40 states. So we're hopeful that that will be a good turn of events. But in the meantime, my position is grassroots, that we need to be teaching kids at home and having fun with what we do. About that in a little bit. But yes, of course, I didn't bring my puppets, but I have that. So junior novels are very important. That's what I call adolescent lit. And be sure to let them pick their own books as much as possible. Self-selection. And that's key. If the book, how you can tell if the book is too, I don't like to say too hard, too challenging. And without doing a readability formula, you have the child just put down a finger every time there's unknown words or the page seems a little challenging. Put down a second finger, put down a third finger. If they've done 3 fingers, then you know the book is a little bit above their reading level, but you can still work with it. So that being said, self-selection is very important, but I still always have a book in my hand, a right book, right kid, and usually the child will read. In my life, as a principal, as a teacher trainer, my house calls program went into about 600 classrooms, preschool through adult. I've been working with literacy almost my whole life. I've been teaching phonics in every aspect of reading, from phonemic awareness to sounds through speed reading. I can almost photo read where I can see a whole page at a time. And to do that, I had to learn in hypnosis. So I've had this huge, huge career, but it always comes back to the same thing. With our joy of reading and using movement and lots of activities, we can really motivate and inspire kids to want to read. I love Everybody Cooks Rice. I love Where the Wild Things Are.
Oh, that's a classic.
Yes. So
Amazing.
make those voices and get out a puppet, a prop from your house. A prop from your house. What do you have on there, friend? What's on your neck? What's on your neck? Show me your tie.
It's
Yeah.
you like the color?
You. So for
So a
read
few things you mentioned there that I like. It always starts in the home, right? If we
it
are
starts in
scrolling,
the home.
because if we're scrolling and then we're not, the kids are seeing the parents scrolling
Yep.
and not reading, that's a problem. And that goes back to the mental health show that I did on social media, that he said 2 hours recommended a day for people. And kids, I had a student who
Mhm.
was one of my students that I was training and tutoring, and he was a 12-year-old, and he would spend a lot of time in video games and on the phone all the time. At 12, he already has a phone, right? And I'm like,
Mhm.
why would a 12-year-old have a phone or a smartphone? I don't think that's should be allowed even. And then I talked to the parents. Yeah, we should limit them, but do they really limit them and they let them go out? I mean, if there's a balance of playing outside, going and doing your schooling, and you're able to get A's and passing, that's the reason why you're requiring a tutor or somebody to train you, because you're not really you're not focused. So something is going on there, right? That's
Right.
part of the reason. And yeah, your thoughts on that?
Well, modeling is everything. Emmy model everything, and that's the bottom line. And what I'm suggesting is not everybody has puppets at home, and that's
Yeah.
okay. But if you took a trip and you got something that would act like a prop to help bring that story alive, you should do it. And the bottom line is this: I call it family time reading. And I believe that families need to make time for reading at home, where we turn off the devices, we put on either quiet music or have it quiet, whatever the kids want, but we all sit and read. Okay. But there's other things we can do. For example, you might do, as I mentioned, I actually have a picnic basket here. You could take a book picnic. You can have the kids reading in a hammock or a wading pool. You could do a weekly event. You can do a monthly event. You can have aunts or uncles or friends come on with you in Zoom and do a character book party where you dress up with something you have around the house. You could do book tastings. You could do book stones in the backyard.
Wow.
And then there's just no end to what you can do creativity wise. And it doesn't have to cost money. We're not talking about buying a lot of new books or audiobooks or uh, any of that. We're talking about what do we have right now around us that we can use to bring our reading alive. And then lap reading is really great when you have the little one on your lap. But I want to remind you that it's good also if they can see you, because young children, now we're talking about reading from toddler all the way through high school as a family. I'm serious about that. This is not
Yeah.
just toddlers, not just toddlers. Okay.
Yeah.
But you want the children to see how your eyes sweep across the page. Okay. So there's a physical part to reading, the visual perception part with hand-eye coordination, perception, etc. So it's pretty easy to have children actually watch your eyes sweep. You watch them watch you as you turn pages, and you don't crinkle them. You put in a bookmark or a napkin or something. They
Wow.
watch how you take care of books. If a book gets a rip because you didn't buy a board book, you had a regular book that you got at Goodwill or St. Vinny's or a used bookstore, whatever you have near you, garage sales, whatever, someone hands you books. You can make a big thing about taping and repairing the books. So what we're showing is that we love reading. The joy of reading is a joy forever. And I believe that is our obligation as a united society, not only the United States, but the world, to make read for fun, what I've been pushing these last years, a reality. If kids are not enjoying reading, then I think we got a big problem. And I don't like to use words like problem or struggle or kids are way behind. I look at them all as scholars in waiting. They're not struggling readers. They're scholars in waiting, and we're using positive language, and we're sharing our love of books. And what we can do with a book talk, for example, whether it's classroom or home, and we can say afterward, okay, this is why you should read this book. And it's a simple frame. I love this book because you should read this book because. And then as a parent or a guardian or caregiver, whoever I am in relation to the child, I can say, tell me, do you know who the main person was in the book? So these are not formal book reports. And then they can sing their response. They could dance their response. They can write their response. They can sell that book to someone else, or they could say, you shouldn't read the book. I saw a little book report one day where a kid wrote one line and he wrote, don't read Charlotte's Web, it was too sad. It had a bad ending. So ask them. And as a family, we can talk about what we're reading. And we can read, if it's Christmas time, we could read Christmas Story or Polar Express. If it's Thanksgiving, we can read Thanksgiving stories and share our things. So we can do themes for holidays. We can do themes for the week, themes for the month. We could do a family theme. We could keep track of our reading. We can make daisy chains with books we've read and put them around our kitchen. There is no end to the fun that we can have.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely.
And
Those are good points.
how about
Yeah.
math too?
Oh, math as well. But I wanted to get your perspective on when you
Okay.
were in education and as a principal, did you have any cases where some students were not reading, and how did you guys teach your teachers to be able to focus on the kids? What years were you in the education? Like, would that be?
I've been in education
Maybe we shouldn't get
my
there.
whole life.
Yeah.
Almost my whole life. During the principalship, it was preschool. Now I was a high school teacher. This all started because I had started when I was 13. Nobody knows this. When I was 13, I started to go with my mom, who was tutoring adult non-readers. And I
Uh-huh.
ended up then tutoring with Lawback Literacy and then Literacy Volunteers of America. When I decided to teach, originally I was going to be a writer, which I also am. And so
Yeah.
I started off student teaching in 7th and 8th grade reading, and they couldn't really read. So then I went to high school as a high school English speech and drama teacher, and they couldn't read the novels. So that was it. So that's when I started my master's in reading, one of my many degrees that I got. And then I've written a number of books about reading. Did I not? Let's not say here. My latest book is a second edition of Reading Champions, and I don't write books that you have to read cover to cover. Mine are, here's the page and here's the activity. For example, I'll say it was a contraction. It'll have a shortcut or a hack, a chant or a cheer. This one had like you take the letter at and you put the apostrophe in. So we're just making everything hard. All my work says teaching reading made easy because we're making it way too hard. And by the time they dissect everything, they're about to say, "Well, can we read now? Can we read now?" So that's kind of my answer. I don't want to go in a circuitous route there. We need to do this. I believe we have to do this now to motivate our children and inspire them to want to read. And the skills are going to come along. If they're not enjoying reading, then why are they going to want to sit there and go through skill lessons? So that's why I'm big on mini lessons that are about 15 minutes at the most.
Yeah, good point. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with the phones and TikTok and all that, because a lot they want something fast and they want something exciting. And
so that's why you don't want it droning on and on and on. And that's why I'll be up and we'll be clapping A, E, I, O, U, or a 2-letter blend has 2 sounds, clap, clap, 3 letters. And then if it's a blend, then clap your hands. So I've had just lots of fun going in classrooms and all over the country. We would find out that the teachers and the parents that I would always stay and do parent workshops for free, and I would find out that we really have a need. And now that everything's on screens, I think we better go back to hands-on learning. And if we have math manipulatives, why don't we have reading? So that's what I've done is I've figured out how to do what I call phonics origami, which is paper folds. And I can do syllables with folds to show, and I can do contractions by doing folds. So with chants and movement and folds and frames and starters, I see the teaching of reading a little differently maybe than others, but I've been extremely successful with children. One, in fact, this one little guy who had been retained several times, and he is now literally a rocket scientist. Because you meet kids' interests, and then you'll find the books, and then the skills come along. But when we just do total scripted programs, again, I'm not putting anything down. I'm hopeful for whether it was Reading Mastery, Distar, all the different programs that I have lived through. It's never been about the program. It's always been about the skills, and that the teacher liked the program and the teacher wanted to do it. But I'm reversing this a little bit today and saying where I'm most concerned is that we make reading at home a huge part of what we're doing. And when we're looking at literacy, that is why we include maths, because to be literate today, there is a financial literacy. Certainly, there's a literacy technology-wise, as you saw it happen to me yesterday, where it's the modem, why nothing is working. So you have to know a lot more. And if you can't read directions and you can't read a contract as a grown-up, and you don't want to pick up a book, there's an issue. So you asked, as a school, how did we do it? We made literacy the #1 priority. And I read to kids in my office. I read to kids in the lunch line. I read to kids, and I carried books around with me in my pockets. I have teaching aprons. I'm not going to put one on now, but I have teaching aprons that all have pockets. And so I'd pull a book out of the pocket. We'd be sitting there in the cafeteria waiting for the next round, and I'd grab a bunch of kids around me. I'd read at the table. We read everywhere. And that's what we need to be doing now at home. We need, if we're going to have an appointment, instead of sitting and waiting with our kid with the phone on, grab a book and we can read that book with the child. If you're standing in a line at a customer checkout, even in a grocery, and you got your little one behind you in the cart, grab a book, grab a picture book, grab a graphic novel. If you're in the car, put on an audio book. There's just use the creativity that we have been given by the higher power to figure out as a collective people what we can do. And our excitement, whether it's putting on a hat or a shawl or just simply using our voices and reading with little teeny tiny voices, we can do echo reading where we're reading and the child is reading. We're reading very quietly and we're watching them reading along with us. There are so many hacks and shortcuts and tricks that I have that when I originally said last April, I need to retire. I'm done. I have to work on my health. I had to unretire. And so now to be able to be back and to say the comeback is stronger. We always say that. But the reality is I never left. I've been doing this my whole life. And even during the period in the mountains, Omar, when, my late husband was very ill for a long time. During that period, I was still teaching university. I was working on my book, Reading Champs, which is still on Amazon. I have 3 books up on Amazon right now. And the bottom line is I taught 30 children at my home during that time besides college. and that included Miwok Indian children, and then children in our county, El Dorado County. I'd been a principal in Sac, and in the mountains. I taught all these kids, they had to be at the bottom 10 percentile in their schools. One girl drove an hour from Grass Valley every week, and she ended up the school year as a ninth grader. Going in ninth grade, she was at 4.2 level, tested by her school. By fall, she was at ninth grade out of Title I. So having been a Title I program evaluator and a county office curriculum consultant and a principal and a trainer and a keynote speaker and writing about reading and blogging all these years, I feel now that it is my responsibility at this point in my career to pass the torch with these ideas that I did in workshops all over the country, day after day, for seminar companies as well as my own work. It was called The Very Best Classroom Strategies Ever. And so we can do this at home. We must do it at home, but let's have a really great time because this is fun stuff.
It is. It is. Yes, you made a lot of good points there. With it's you can have your imagination with that, with the books, and imagine like there's a train. You can make a tutu sound with that, or you can do this kind of thing. And so, yeah, we really need to go back to that and balance things out. With the phones and the social media, have that there, but balance it exactly. Wow, and then balance it out and be able to have fun with it, have that time. And if you're with other people, if you have this togetherness, then a lot of the time people can put together the ideas and then put the phones out. Because the reason I think most of the people are on phones is because loneliness and they're alone. They need that interaction. But if you're with people, if you're out, I see myself when I'm out more, I'm not on the devices as much, right? You just leave it in the car, get your item, go wherever you need to, and then have the phone there for emergencies only, kind of thing. But I think the COVID thing is where it hurts a lot of people. But do you want to get to the math now? Let's talk about that.
Yes, absolutely. I could go on for hours. I know originally this was supposed to be me just talking about reading, but I had to ask you to talk about math because literacy to me is way bigger. And because I believe in reading and content, then I've also always taught reading and math, and I see math everywhere. And I see an intertwining of reading and math, not just books that, like 10 on top kind of thing.
Yeah. So in terms of math, like I am right now tutoring and teaching people math, but let's look at the scores here, right? They are.
Well, you're a math teacher. I'm not a math teacher. You're the math teacher.
I'm in tutoring kind of thing, tutoring and teaching. I was teaching for a while too. I was teaching, but yeah, I mean, and SAT math, ACT math, stuff like that. So
you make light of what you do. You're not only a great host and a great friend. This is our actually folks who are watching, colleagues. This is the 6th time I've been with Omar. Normally we have hats on. So I did put a beret in today, but I didn't bring my other hats, Omar. I have always my reed pin on. But if you, okay, that was the cue.
Okay, this one?
Okay, yes.
We need to get some.
If I did caps for sale, I would put a beret on. I have a wide variety of hats, as you know, but I also have a lot of costumes. Well, as a principal, I used to do things walking around classrooms in costumes, as in Susan B. Anthony, etc. I've always had a great time with kids. I've always sung, and several years ago, I went back to teach preschool under a literacy grant, and I sang all day long. And I have a really bad voice. And my teachers, our teachers, the owners.
Yeah, and then you have that personality,
Yeah, well, anyway, I have that voice, and they beg me not to sing.
Because if you watch the what's that movie, Matilda or Madeline, one of those ones, I think that the principal in there, she's always angry and mean. Right? The principal, I forget her name, and then they always envision the principal as this mean person who's angry and always like not happy, but really it's the opposite. So the media manipulates, but when you go out and change things, look at you, you're a joyful person, you're a principal, and That's how a real principal is. They're not these people who are angry and that. So it's
That's a bad stereotype.
yeah,
That's one of the most challenging positions I ever had was being a principal, and I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. But I hung out in the classrooms with the teachers, so we had a lot of fun, and I like teaching classes with them. So if you want to know what's going on in your school, just get out of the office and go hang out in the cafeteria, and the bus line, ride the bus, and read with the kids in the cafeteria. Where, as I said, I don't want to be redundant, but read everywhere. But as a parent or a loved one, a friend, Omar, you're so right. But go back to the math, please, because your insights are beyond phenomenal.
yeah. Let me share my screen, and now I'm just saying hello to
Yeah, that's
Yolanda,
what
a
I'm
good
doing.
friend in Texas. She loves my hat. Awesome. And then
I do too.
Matilda, yes, Matilda's a classic book, and that there's another one, Beverly or Beasley, or there was another
All the
classic.
Beverly Cleary books, I have them on
Yes. Oh,
I,
that's beautiful. What was that?
yeah.
Was so
I,
yeah,
I have
really.
also have 20 Dr. Seuss books here too. You can't beat Hop on Top or Cat in the Hat still. They're great books. So yeah,
So
Matilda, what I call these junior novels or adolescent novels. So yes, James and the Giant Peach or Charlotte's Web, Stone Fox, all those classics. And does that mean that we don't want to use new books that are more relevant for children? I'm not saying that at all. But classics are classic, and I want to make sure that we read fairy tales, poetry, and lots of genres with kids. Give them lots of options. Albert Einstein said that we should, while you're pulling that up, we should always teach kids fairy tales. He said it made them more intelligent, made children more intelligent. I don't know that that's exactly the truth, but these fairy tales and folk tales that have come along for centuries, for all our time, I think it's really important as part of our cultural heritage that we do share them with children, that they have the opportunity. Okay, go ahead here.
exactly. So yeah, awesome, good points. So here's some statistics. In fourth grade, the average math score compared with 2022 ended a pandemic slide. In fact, white, black, Hispanic, and economical disadvantaged students all showed gains. Okay, that's kind
Hmm.
of good. So math increased a little bit, and you can see here the scores for fourth graders versus eighth graders, right? How the difference is. I mean, they're slightly bigger, not that much. I mean, compared to, and look in 2020 here, I mean, they were pretty high and went dipped down a bit there. So that's kind of a scary thing there with math. A lot of people are afraid of math and they don't know how to do it, even with adults, which I don't know what the reason is. Maybe the formulas, the numbers, and I'm dealing with like 3 or 4 students and I'm tutoring them in terms of
Hmm.
algebra and
Yeah.
statistics and stuff like
Right.
that, SAT. And then you have the whole range of students. Some students
Yeah.
actually know the material and they want to do it real fast, real fast. And then some other students uh, are struggling with the basic things, and it really depends. I had one student yesterday. We were working on solving systems equations, and I gave her a question. And then after she did it, I said, they actually teach this in
Yeah.
college. They teach this in college. And she's like, wow, you're doing a college question, but they also teach it in eighth grade. And so she was amazed by that how
Yes.
wow, I'm able to do this kind of thing. So a lot of people are, or students are, aware of this thing. And then when they do it,
Mm.
it's amazing. So
So
yeah,
what else did you see? I don't want to get into the ranges based on economic advantage and disadvantage today. Um, but I'm wondering if you saw a trend that would explain why the math actually showed some level of improvement versus the reading, when all the push has been so heavy into the reading. From, like I said, at least 40 states have mandated a change in literacy. They want to make sure phonics is taught. That's beyond me. About a year or so ago, I did an interview with well, I don't want to go into that now. I just want to say this part of it. In that last interview we did on reading was about balancing reading. And I don't know when we've not taught phonics. I've been teaching phonics my whole life. We've all been teaching phonics. So I don't know why the idea was that we just did cueing. Does it look right, sound right, make sense? This has not been the basis of teaching reading. In my opinion, it's only been one strategy. And there are times when that one strategy might be good. So if we're looking at putting a big on phonics, is there something like that in math? Is there a red flag or anything that stood out? How, without new math programs, I'm not aware of any. It may be in the works, but I'm not aware of anything. What do you see happen that there was a little growth in math and then not in reading? Do you have any thoughts?
Uh, I think because I'm just in the tutoring field right now, I haven't actually went in the field of actually teaching, but
You're a certified math teacher and you are teaching math every day. Okay. When someone
I,
says, I'm just a tutor, that this is a misnomer. Okay. Because I've done tutoring through my whole life. You're teaching. So let's put that right there. And as a teacher, I trust your instincts.
actually I'm in the tech. I work in the tech job, right? I'm in the
And
tech
that
field.
and that's why that's how you helped me get my thought
Exactly.
yesterday. Ooh, what haven't I done? Oh, the
One
modem.
and two. Yeah.
You
But
have
yeah,
it all.
I just want to say to Yolanda's question there, fear of math starts
Right.
at an early age because of self-taught talk, right? So that's a key thing then. But I think math improved maybe because people are realizing that math is used every day in everyday
Mhm.
life, and so if they buy an item or buy this, but still there are a lot of people who are struggling with math. I mean, if you take
Yeah.
from let's say 10 students I've had, maybe eight of them or six of them are struggling in it, which is a big number, right? Compared
Yeah.
to other things. So you have to look at it at a whole range. I don't have the whole statistics,
Mhm.
but if you look at these ones here, you can see how it ranged in the fourth grade, eighth grade level based on certain states kind of thing. But I do know that a lot of people are struggling with math, from what I've noticed, that they need help. And it, as Yolanda was saying, it begins in the early ages. So if you're able to give them
Yes.
that, so I'm lucky because I'm good in the sciences. Like my family,
Mhm.
my parents are both good in sciences, and so I grew up knowing the mathematics and the multiplications. Where I was at age fifth grade or fourth grade, I had to memorize them. I was in my room to memorize all of them. Otherwise, I could not, pass them. Now I can pretty much do any multiplication question. If you can just put it up there, maybe the hard was like 9 times 13 or something like that. I need to think about it more. But in general, the foundation in the beginning can really implement you later on in terms of math. That's what I would say.
So what do you see if you want to take the chart down now?
Yeah.
What do you oh, blah, 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 blah. Okay, what could you offer as building I agree with what Yolanda said there too, obviously. What can we do as far as the math piece of building and boosting literacy? And you said how I feel that reading is everything every day, everywhere. Reading is everywhere. Reading labels in the grocery, reading contract, reading all the
Math as
insurance
well.
stuff.
Math as
So, but
well.
math is the same.
Yeah.
So, how would you encourage us as, like I said, parents and caregivers and aunts, uncles, grandparents, whoever is in
Yeah.
relation with a child or can grab a child who needs a big brother or a mentor, a big sister? What can we do? Well, how can we help?
Yeah, that's a little easier than the other question. But yeah, what we can help in terms of improving math is
And
that
enjoying
foundation going,
and enjoying.
enjoying math. Yeah. I mean, show them examples, right? So, for example, when I did my quiz show, I had candy. If I had eight pieces of candy and then I took half of them, I gave half of them to my sister. Oh, I have a sister or I have a brother. We can relate to that, right? And then they
Right.
say, okay, in that case, half of them, I have eight. Take away four. I have four remaining. Four goes to you. So so real world examples. And so people always say, why do I have to take math? Why do I have to take math? How is this actually, how am I going to use this in the real world? But math is everywhere and reading's everywhere, right? Maybe
That's
more
right.
reading than math because you got to read the reports and figure out what it means and the vocabulary words and all that. But math is also there if you buy items, money, if you are going to uh, use different statistics here and there. Math is needed. Even the slopes or finding the intercepts, that's needed there. So
Mm.
people don't realize it at the moment, but then there's many jobs that require it and need you to do that. So yeah,
Checking accounts are going by the wayside, but I can recall many years of needing to do the math even to balance a checkbook. But there's still math on all the accounts, and math is everywhere. But as far
yeah.
as the fun math, and if we're looking across, at Read Across America, and the idea that every day we're working with literacy, do you have any just off the top here of fun math kinds of activities they can do also at home, like family time reading, like family time math, maybe?
Yeah, could be something like games or in terms of the candy, right? That would be
Yeah.
something that you can do in terms of having candy and split it up with people, or having. That's a tricky one. Let me
What
see
about
if I can
splitting
think
a pizza even in how many parts do we split the pizza? Or this
yeah.
is really bad. I remember when I was real little, my sister and I used to make sure Friday nights it was a big deal and we get to watch a movie and have some, oh my goodness, bubble up, I think it was. And we had to make sure it was exactly the same level in the cup, that she didn't have more than I did. That sounds, I can't believe I said that. But isn't there a lot of math just in dividing food and recipes
You're
and
right. Yeah, the pizza is a good example, right? Take a quarter of this or take half of this and then
right?
slice it. So if we have 8 pieces, how what's the whole of the piece taken out? 1/4 or 1/8? That's one option to do it. That's
Hmm.
with food, but it's tricky. I'm trying to think of how it is because I don't really. Uh, I'm trying to relate how that reading is a lot easier in terms of that, but in
Yeah,
terms
I
of
think so.
math,
But I was just thinking about maybe a math scavenger hunt for the
uh-huh.
family, or some
Flashcards is always
game.
what. But who
Yeah,
wants
well,
flashcards?
flashcards, games,
So,
math games.
something with animals because the kids like animals. And then as my nephew grows up more and more, I can that would be something that I can investigate. And if I have kids myself later, that's something I can also discover and see how the math is related. So seeing him growing up, because as your kids, you're not really seeing things, and then when you get older, you see things in different lens, right? On how kids grow up and what they see in terms of math and stuff like that and reading.
I'm wondering whether you could do and so everyone knows this is not scripted. I'm
Yeah.
wondering whether you could do a game where you walk around the house and you look for all the squares or you look for all the
Oh, shapes.
triangles,
Yeah, that's a good one.
shapes,
Yeah,
or
shapes. Yeah,
uh,
like if you, for example, the
I'm
AC,
looking behind
the
you at all
rectangle,
the shapes, for
or your
example.
eyes. Yeah, that's a good one there. That's a look. Where in the house can you see a shape of a math or measure it, and then
Measuring,
yeah, measure that. Take the using, so you're not using any electronics. You're just using
right?
tape measure. You're measuring your length of your hand, right? Maybe that's an example. You can even
Hmm.
use like a ruler and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So any of that is going to be very useful and beneficial um, to help you in learning and teaching the kids, teaching the adults and the kids as well at the same time, because we also need that learning as well with the math. Yeah, that's a good one. So the shapes,
So it's a lot to think about. I bet you come
yeah,
up with
it
some
is.
more. That's why I said we'll probably be doing a little bit of follow up where we put a few
Yeah,
notes down. I don't know that I'll write another blog. The World Read Aloud blog that I wrote recently it's just absolutely floating with ideas. I'll probably repost that for everybody. And as I said, then World Read Aloud Day is every day. Every day we need. It's our obligation. I feel to read with
exactly.
children.
And if you guys have any ideas, give us some
Yes.
ideas of how can some kids, or what you guys do. If Yolanda, if you're a parent, what did you do for your kids or whoever is watching in terms of teaching them math without using electronics? Right, that's something that those of you who have kids who have experience in that can happen. What did you do, Rita, when you with your kids in terms of I know electronics. That's let's put you on the spot there and see
Yeah,
what you did.
um, we actually, my late husband, William, and I had a strict rule that when the children were in our house, and that included high schoolers, and even when we moved to the mountains, the mountain house where we lived those last 20 years, no electronics were allowed once they were in the house. They were off. So that started it off. And instead, because we were on property, then we did property walks and went to the lake and did a lot of outside activities. I encourage everyone to, whether you're at school or at home, schoolhouse or home, take your kids or your neighbor's kids or whoever you can grab and go to the park and read, or go out inside in a tree. If you got a little one, go read. Put the little one in a wading pool with no water in it, and you can read there. So novelty really makes a huge difference, I think, with reading or math. So it's like we're thinking in and out of the box. What kinds of activities? Um, as far as other things you might do, it may be an online book club. You might invite a local author if you're in a large enough city, and if there's somebody who's a math guru, or if you have a science center near you where you can go for inexpensive or free, or a museum, you can be seeing all the math in the real world, and it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Reading is everywhere, math's everywhere. So it's about literacy. This is what we're about today. Read across America. I'm looking at read across the world and about literacy across the world. And as we get close to our close here, Omar, not only am I thanking you for this, but today I said it was a kickoff, and I meant it, because there's no way in a short time that I was going to be able to tell everybody everything that they could be doing for Read Across America. I encourage you also to get online and just Google Read Across America, and you'll see a lot of activities from NEA and others. There will be events starting March 2nd. And Omar, this might be a good time for you to announce you have another upcoming event related next week.
Yeah,
On the
exactly.
2nd,
Actually, it's coming
right?
up Sunday, actually. But Yolanda answered the question here. My husband tutored our kids in math, and then
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
I have always read to them when they were
Yes.
babies. Amazing, amazing. Yeah, that's something that's important. And yeah, absolutely. And the foundation was
Yes.
set from when they were babies. Exactly, exactly. That's how it was for us too, right?
Hmm.
And but now, unfortunately, things are changing. With both parents are working, the mom is working,
Hmm.
the dad is working, and they need to kind of
Hmm.
implement the love of reading and that. How was it with your granddaughter? Is that the same that they? I know because she's younger. She's 12, 13, I think.
Same thing. Same thing. She was an avid reader, and she spends more time now on TikTok and online. So I see it firsthand. So in our family, we read together. And Christmas, years ago, I typed up every Christmas carol that I could think of with all the verses. And there's also reading when you do sing alongs, read alongs. And so I did that as well. I also wrote plays for the children that we performed at Thanksgiving with very little props. So yeah, that's really it. It's just thinking out of the box and what kind of things we could do. And again, doesn't need to cost us money. We're in tight financial times right now for everybody, but I'm not asking you to spend a penny. Just get to the library or a garage sale, or that have. But the bottom line is, for me, it's not just for teachers. Teachers are overwhelmed right now. They're working so hard with so many factors in the world and in their school. We know some of those large class sizes, etc. There's no point in bemoaning what's not going right. Teachers are working really hard, but we need to help. And right now, when Mr. Rogers told us to always look for the helpers, I'm asking this group today And I ask every day for all of us to read for fun. If you're on LinkedIn, you'll see that I post about books and kids almost every day. At the moment, I'm not on Twitter. I did take a little break, but you can catch me on LinkedIn to get a hold of me. And I'm also starting to do some phonics origami, little mini workshops where we actually manipulate reading skills with our hands. Point is, Omar, what we've done today is just a start. And I'm so grateful to you for helping pull together to do something different, to encourage everybody to make literacy our priority, not just United States, but worldwide.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah.
And March is reading month, and Yolanda mentioned it also. March is a
Oh
reading
yeah.
month.
Mm,
But that's the whole
every day is.
point of why NEA did in part what they did. They wanted it not just celebrating Dr. Seuss's birthday, they wanted to make the point that year round.
Amazing. Yeah, awesome. So this Sunday at 3 Eastern,
Wow,
um,
that's great.
there is going to be a Black History America. A good friend of mine, Miss Majid, and I do. We did. It's another educational thing. We did a kickoff a couple of weeks ago. We might be reposting that. It was a live show, and there is the Zoom link. I will post it. You guys can join that. Um, it's kind of tiny there, but I will put it in the chat. You guys can see it. So the Zoom ID. If you guys have Zoom, you just put in this ID code in here on that and join us there. You can always message me and I can send you the link. But that is the password there. It's not a phone number, but it's a password. You might get a wrong. You might get somebody in a different country, and be careful
Who's
with that.
that guy down there? Is that the guy that interviewed me on that same show? Oh,
Oh,
it
oh
is.
yeah. No, who is he? He's a new guy. Whoever
Do
he
we
is,
really know Omar?
I want to meet that guy. Yes,
Every
you're
day
welcome.
that I talk to you, I learn more about all the wonderful things that you do for everyone.
Oh yeah, thank you. You as well. You as well. And
Mm.
that's the password as well there. So this is the ID to join. This is the password. So if you guys want to join us on Sunday, there's that, and you can message me. You can also email. Uh, the email is there, Hafiza m@hotmail.com. You can email her as well. She can be happy to be able to do that. So perfect. All right. With that, I think
That's
we
a
can
cool graphic.
end the. Yeah, it's awesome. With that, I think we can end this, and I appreciate you doing this and last minute thoughts about this.
No, I just am so grateful to you for putting together and that all you do. I guess I could close class with one of my mini bells. I do have a collection of old school bells and slates here. At some point, it's all going to get donated to a museum. Uh, I just can't thank you enough, and that would be my ending. Normally, I have a huge closure, but not this time. Right now, it's just a call to action that we all read for fun, and also, if we need to de-stress, I don't know why, but if in fact you're feeling any stress beside stretching and getting out to a river near you or someplace that is good to your soul, pick up a book or your Kindle and just stop. And that's what I've been doing. I need to do another blog, really, Omar, about. I think I did one last year about adult reading. I've been reading a couple books a week at least because if I pick up the Kindle, then it gets me away from everything else. And that's the thing. If you watch a TV show or a really good movie, it's all there. But reading, we bring our schema or our prior knowledge to what we're reading, or if we don't know anything about it, that's okay. And our imagination just flourishes. So, for children, if we want to help them to also feel their own creativity by making podcasts or making videos about their reading or doing, like I said, book clubs with others or events, that's what we can do right now. And it's easy. We don't want to make it hard. It's easy and it doesn't take that much time. I know everybody has a time crunch. Let the
Yeah.
kids help plan the events.
Oh yeah. Okay,
And
with
that would
that,
be my
I
and that
wanted
would
to
be
mention that I remember when I was in elementary school, we had this book catalog that we would get some, and I would every time we would buy something from it, a book,
yeah. Or
whatever
make
it
a
was.
little library too. You can take books that you've outgrown and go around your neighborhood or ask your family and friends and start a little library right there. So there's
Exactly.
no,
And I can also relate that my
yeah,
nephew, still going to the library at age 18
mhm,
months. He started going there, even with activities and the so at
yeah,
that age, you're already starting them. And we used to rent books. So yeah, that habit needs to go up. I'm glad the libraries are still open. They're not closing down, so
no.
people can still go there. So shut down your phones, go to the libraries, pick up a book, read a book. That's my message for today. And learn a new math concept, something you haven't learned about as well. Pick up algebra. I know you might say, "Why do I need this? Why do I need this?" But maybe you need to learn a new skill for your brain, right? Learn something different, change it up. But read, and read, as Rita is saying, and also do complicated. How many of you know the quadratic formula, right? Maybe you took it, but pick up a book and learn what it is. You know, but you never know. Maybe you can be on a quiz show one day. Maybe you can be on my quiz show. But learn what the math symbols are. Learn. That's why I do my quiz show to teach people and educate them about the
Yes,
world. And if you don't know, you're going to be curious and want to learn about it. The other thing. So that's part of it. Thank you again, Rita. We're approaching the 57th
we're
mark, and
there.
we're there. Awesome. An hour program of reading and math. Better, nothing better than that.
Nothing
Um,
better. Thank you
exactly.
all.
I will be back actually on Sunday for my Do You Really Know shows, doing them every 2 weeks, and excited. And thank you again, Rita. Let's go ahead and end the stream. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you, my heart to everybody. Thanks for coming and just thank you, period. Omar, you've been the best.
Awesome. Take care. See you guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye bye.